Howdy, I'm Will Marshall, and I will be giving the introduction and conclusion to our group speech. Our group is Annabelle, myself, Bella, and Michael, and we'll be talking a little bit about college tuition and its trend over the years. So I found a source by the U.S. News and World Report that in Texas, the in-state tuition is about $10,000 per semester, and that's actually on the low side of the US. So it would be unbelievable to see, the prices in other areas. I also found a source by Jasmine from the Association of the Advancement of the College Admissions Profession, the AACAP, that the outstanding student loan debt in 2016 in the US was at $1.31 trillion, which is crazy to think about. Also, we know that the cost of college education is on the rise, and that can definitely be a difficult thing to overcome for an average student at a university. So, the main points that we'll be talking about this speech are the trends of the college tuition prices over the last few decades, as well as the balancing a job and classes at the same time and how difficult of a struggle that can be for the average student, and the current job pool and requirements that they ask of college students.
First, let's set the scene to truly understand how much the price of college truly has increased. And let's explore what it means for students who are having to take out student loan debt and what the repayment process looks like for them. So, we have all been familiar with, especially as the younger generation, the older generations telling us, well, I paid for college myself and I was able to work my way through college and got my degree. However, that is not a reality for the younger generations. Since 1963, according to the Education Data Initiative article titled College Tuition Inflation, the price of tuition has increased 747.8% since 1963. This is a huge number, and it is very, very crazy to think about that people in the 1960s and 70s were paying fractions of the price of what we are paying today for college. So it is not realistic to be able to work your way through college and pay for it all yourself without the help of your parents or scholarships or loans. Next, student loans are often the only way students can afford to go to college. However, they are left with crippling debt, and that takes away from them starting their life post graduation. A lot of students don't have the opportunity to have their parents or a scholarship pay for their college, and that means they're left with a lot of student debt. Student debt is really frustrating for some people because they get out of college, they finally get their degree, they get their dream job, and then they're struck with this insane amount of debt that they're forced to repay. So, on average, it takes 20 years for debt to be paid off. And this is according to the average time to repay student loans um, written by the Education Data Initiative. And these next facts are going to be written by them as well. And 21% of people who are paying off their loans and that are paying for consistently for 5 years are having increase in their total amount of student loan debt that they have to pay off. This is because of the incredibly high interest rates, and it makes it near impossible to pay off your student loans in a reasonable amount of time. Next, if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer, beware because that requires a lot of school and very expensive school. And the average recent grad doctor's salary is not enough to repay the student loans that they need to repay back. And lastly, over 43.2 millions of Americans have student loan debt to repay. This is a crazy issue that we definitely need to address and to understand how we can make college more affordable and more accessible to the general public.
Because of how expensive college has become, there is almost no choice but to work in order to afford our day to day expenses. While there are pros to having a college job, working during the semester also comes with cons that cannot be overlooked. Working and maintaining a job can be extremely difficult when you're trying to juggle a full course load in a semester. To begin with, jobs take up a lot of time, and you aren't always in control of what your schedule will look like. Putting in a time off request can become difficult because there are things you don't have planned popping up on the calendar, and sometimes these are things that you cannot miss. Your boss might also not be lenient about these types of things and be strict about the 2-week notice before time off. Furthermore, having a social life becomes near impossible outside of work as well because there is no time left between that and school. And we all know that in college, it's the best time to grow your social life as it is your last few years before you enter the real world. However, if you lessen your course load during the semester in hopes of being able to maintain a job as well as getting high grades, your degree will take longer to get, therefore costing you more money in the long run. In a study done by Stern and Nakata, based on an analysis of several studies concerning the effects of holding a job while in college, concluded that students who work during college are more likely to drop out or take longer to complete their programs. This just backs up what I've been saying about how difficult it is to work and focus on school during college. In my personal experience, I had transferred to Texas A&M and am behind on credits because some didn't apply to my major when I switched from psychology to communications. I've been taking 15 credit hours every semester as well as summer classes so that I am able to fulfill my degree requirements and get back on track. I don't want to pay for more school than I already have to because it's way too expensive as is. In an article by William Hay, Christine Calderon, and Denise Siebert, it states, the factors influencing student decision-making fall into 3 major areas: academic performance, financial considerations and other costs, and advising experiences. There are certain motivators in Aggie Land specifically as well. The goal is to receive your Aggie ring during some time in your junior year or earlier. You receive your Aggie ring when you complete 90 credit hours at Texas A&M or graduate with a degree. The incentive of the Aggie ring is that you can celebrate with your friends and not be left out of traditions such as ring dunks and celebrations.
It becomes even more difficult to understand the cost of an undergraduate education once you enter the job force. So right now, the group of people that are graduating with their bachelor's degree are having a really difficult time finding jobs. In fact, according to Mahatari, the latest unemployment rate for recent grads at 4.4% is higher than the overall joblessness rate. And so what's happening is all these people are entering the undergraduate level, graduating, and particularly right now, the way that the landscape of, I guess, the job market is looking is more and more difficult, and the standards are higher, and the expectations of the skills that you need to bring and the experience you need to have are, like I said, higher than ever. But even those who do find jobs are having a hard time paying off their student loans. And so why is that? A big part of that is that many students are not ending up in their desired fields. And I don't just mean you're an education major, you wanted to teach English and you end up teaching science. I mean just entirely not being able to apply the thing that you went to school for. And as a result, many people end up pursuing low wage jobs or are just left with very few options in terms of ways to make money. And so the people that do take these low wage jobs are, they have it more difficult to pay off their student loans based off the fact that the job that they have is not paying as much as the one in their desired field would. And just finally, the requirements for jobs are getting higher in terms of the level of education expected. So what might have once been a job that you could have gotten by either having an associate's degree, having a certification, or even just being able to pursue that job out of high school are now raising their requirements many times up to the level of an undergraduate degree. And so where this becomes especially damaging are that so many more people are finding it necessary to pursue an undergraduate education. And so they're going through their degree, and for one reason or another, maybe that's because it's more difficult than they expected, or just other external factors, they have to withdraw from their education. They're not able to finish it. And this becomes a really big problem because you've spent time, you've spent a lot of your money, and you did all that to get a bachelor's degree so you can get a higher paying job without that higher paying job. In fact, according to Hansen, among first time bachelor's degree seekers, 25.7% ultimately drop out. And among all undergraduate students, up to 40% drop out. So this is a significant group of people that are taking on this debt, unable to finish it, their degree that is, and as a result being left in significant financial distress.
Alrighty, so to wrap up our speech, I just want to press the fact again that this increase in tuition has become an issue for the majority of students and just makes it really difficult for the average student to be able to pay their way for their own degree just by themselves. And it's also important to note that a lot of these larger job pools that Michael talked about want higher education, which makes it more competitive for students to get, a really good, long-lasting career. And with student loan debts and tuition payments on the rise, there's got to be something that we can do about it, either at the state or the government level. And this chart here by by College Factual shows the A&M college tuition over the last 8 or so years, from 2016 to 2022. And as you can see, the in-state tuition has slowly begun to increase, almost up to 15,000, and the out-of-state tuition is almost triple that amount, which is unbelievable to see. So, this is something that definitely needs to be addressed so that more students aren't thwarted away from getting a college degree.